Okay, I'd like to be 10's Grayson Allen. So I have to say something positive about everyone on the list because I don't want this to be an entirely negative list, right? Because I would turn the video off if I were watching this and it was just someone saying how much they didn't like people. Because this is kind of my list, right? Grayson Allen is on my list for guys that I find, what did I say, most hated? I think that's what I'm going to title it, or most annoying. There's a lot of my own personal opinion, but hey, we can all agree on Grayson Allen being the 10 most hated players in the league, even though, let's be honest, he isn't what he used to be at Duke. At Duke, he was a menace. Okay, he was tripping guys. He was like bumping them with his ass. He was hitting dudes in the balls. And he cried a lot too. He would cry and he would scream. He would just get angry all the time. Thing was, he was really good. That was kind of the interesting thing. I also wonder, because Coach K, kind of I want these guys to be pillars of their community. A lot of them aren't going to play. That's most coaches in college, right? A lot of them aren't going to play professional ball. They're going to go on to do other things. I want them to be good. I want to train them as men, not just that's most coaches. So you have Grayson Allen, who's sort of behaving despicably. Not saying he's a despicable person. Not saying that he hasn't changed or that he could change. But at the time, despicable. Just a really nasty player. So I do wonder, I wasn't watching Duke basketball at the time. What did Coach K think of this? Did he suspend him for these pretty egregious basketball acts? Because his natural thing at the time was, oh, I got beat, I'm on the ground, I'm going to trip him. I'm going to trip this guy. I'm going to make it look like an accident. And he still does it sometimes. Obviously, there was the Caruso, when Caruso was going up for a layup, finishing at the rim, he clobbers him. He really takes out his hands. So Caruso goes up, and he basically grabs his arm. Okay, he grabs his arm, pulls his arm down, and then that obviously takes his momentum, and he lands on his wrist, breaks his wrist. I believe he was out for, 2 months? Something like that. Caruso was pissed. Caruso was so mad, because you could tell he called it BS. He said, no. He called it BS. And he said that in an interview where he shouldn't be swearing. And Caruso's not like that type of guy. And you could tell that he had talked to Grayson Allen, and Grayson Allen had said something to the effect of, oh yeah, sorry man, you were coming up and I was kind of doing this and then you came this way, and I was like, when someone's not as remorseful and they sort of make it seem more like an accident than it was and less of a malicious thing to sort of sidestep responsibility. You could tell Caruso was like, okay, I guess that's an apology, but you're not as remorseful as I believe you should be, which I respected. Because someone asked him about it, and he just said, this is how I feel about it. We've talked, and we are not cool. But what's the good thing I can say about Grayson Allen? He's good. Man, is he good. Is he the third best player on the Phoenix Suns? Yeah, I would have to say so. Is he the third leading scorer? I don't think so. But in terms of fit and how well he performs in that role, I think he got extended. I think he got an extension or he got re-signed by the Suns. He's good. That's my nice thing to say. He doesn't get in as much trouble anymore, but he does. There's a clip of him when he was on the Bucks just smacking Jalen McDaniels in the face in a game against the Hornets. So he still has that inclination of, oh, the guy beat me. Wow. Well, he's on the ground now. So he didn't score. Maybe he did score, though. He still has I'm going to get into this later. I need to save the things I talk about for guys later. Why does it say 8? I apologize. It says Kevin Durant 8. I'm not sure why. He is 9. I think Kevin Durant is hated still. And it's so funny to me because I remember when I sort of started getting back into basketball, Kevin Durant was beloved. There was that, during the lockout, he was playing flag football with some dudes at, I believe, University of Texas. I think that's where they were. But it was some frat had organized the flag football game. And he was out there just juking dudes. I loved it. He just wanted to compete. But the Kevin Durant we have now, I think you get so into the adulation or the adoration of other people, and you start thinking of yourself as this something else, something bigger than yourself, and you get addicted to being adored, And I think that was the case with him. And then I think when he went to Golden State, how many times have I talked about this? I think when he went to Golden State, he thought, oh, people will be happy for me. They'll be proud. Even though on the Bill Simmons podcast, he said he left so he could feel what it felt like to be hated. That's what he said. Might be true, might not be. could be one of those things where you think that you did make the decision consciously when you made it subconsciously, when you actually didn't make it consciously at all. I have a feeling, because he said this before, he just left because he thought, this is a better team, this is a better situation. He also said on his burner account, if you remember the burner account, he tweeted from his burner account responding to a guy as a different person, but it ended up being not his burner account, and saying, yeah, my team wasn't good. Billy Donovan wasn't a good coach. It was just me and Russ. Now, what are we supposed to do? That's why I left. He said it from his real account. He meant to say it from a burner. So he tried to speak his mind without being accountable for saying what he said. And I think people didn't like that. They thought it was cowardly. Dude. And he tried to get Sean Marks fired, not Bobby. Steve Nash. And do you remember? He was like, okay, I want out of here. Joe Tsai's like, yeah, well, we're not trading you. We're not in respect, because everyone demands a trade, and then every manager or president of basketball operations is like, okay, I guess we have to trade him. Sean Marks and Joe Tsai, the owner, were like, we don't want to. I respect it. KD came back and played, and he said, well, maybe you'll fire Sean Marks, you'll fire Steve Nash, which they eventually did, but they didn't do it right away. So demanding someone lose their job, it's not cool, even though these guys make a lot of money and they'll be fine financially, but to say, hey, I want this guy's tenure at this place to end, and leveraging your power that way, I don't know, I don't like it. That's me. I don't know. He got Kenny Atkinson fired, remember that? He was like, we want to start DeAndre Jordan over Jarrett Allen. They traded Jarrett Allen. And they got rid of Kenny Atkinson. I'm so glad he's getting another opportunity with Cleveland. He was actually he's been in demand, because he was actually supposed to coach the Hornets. Then Steve Clifford took the job because he didn't want to do it. He backed out. He was like, I think I'm going to be an assistant at Golden State. I don't want to be a part of that mess that is the Charlotte Hornets. I respect it, Kenny Atkinson. I'm excited to see what the Cleveland Cavs do. I like that they're kind of retaining their team, and I like JB Bickerstaff too, though. I like both dudes. They seem nice. That's all I really, I'm not the guy that's going to say, the adjustments, man, his adjustments. Can you believe the adjustments? Can you believe he didn't call a timeout then? I guess. I don't know. I don't coach basketball. So, there are Kevin Durant fans out there, but I feel like they're getting fewer and far between. At the same time, where are the Steph fans? There's Steph fans now, but I feel like they're younger kids. Let me know if you're a Kevin Durant fan, if you're just like, no, Kevin Durant's my guy, I'm still a stan of him, but you understand what I'm saying. There is definitely a negative sentiment toward him, and he's the guy that people like to clown the most in the league, right? Because he reacts to it. You can message him and criticize him, and he'll respond. He'll say, by the way, you got to me emotionally. Isn't that funny? You got to me emotionally, stranger in Idaho. You emotionally affected me. One of the greatest basketball players of all time. You got me. You got my number. I'm the same way. I get it. Now, here's the real number 8 is Chris Paul. And I never really understood why people don't like Chris Paul. And then I was doing research for this video, and I realized, he's just the dirtiest player of all time. He punches guys in the balls. He trips guys. He pushes guys while they're in the air. I was watching a video because I wanted to know why I saw JJ Redick hated Chris Paul. I saw that in an article. So I tried to find a video on it, and they talked about the communication style. Matt Barnes talked about this too. He said, Chris Paul will tell you how it is, and his approach to people can rub them the wrong way. And I understand that. I understand how I've listened to Chris Paul do interviews. I watched him on the Ryan Russillo show, and I did get a feel for this guy is cool and he's very passionate about the game, but if he has any sort of bitterness and resentment, if he has any negative energy, whatever his message is, the negative is going to come out, and it's going to be on you, and you're not going to like it. So I understood that. Matt Barnes said that. He's Matt Barnes was pretty mature about it, but I think Chris Paul does well. I think he's more mature now, and I think he does well with a younger team because, let's face it, the younger guys are yeah, this has kind of been my time playing basketball. There's always been someone older than me telling me what I'm doing wrong. So I think it works better. But he is dirty. He's a dirty player. I watched a clip of him. LeBron's going up for a rebound. Of course, Chris Paul's way shorter, pulls his arm down. And I think guys like this get good at doing it in a sneaky way. I think it's the same thing with Grayson Allen. They get good at being bad in a sneaky, no one's going to see it way. I think they also save their fouls because they know, hey, I might need them down the road. I might need to roll the dice with a dirty foul. You know what I'm saying? I think that's all there it is. It's all in there. So, and he complains a lot. Dude, remember him complaining about Scott Foster? Just going on about like Scott Foster's intentions for drawing, attention to himself. He's like, oh yeah, people, they want to come out and see Scott. I thought that was funny. It's rather than criticizing the call, you're saying, you know what? I'm in the mind of Chris Foster. He's an attention whore. I know, which, hey, probably got to Scott Foster mind. I don't think he cared. He's like, all right, whatever. I'm doing my job. Sorry. Refs are surprisingly mature. I think you have to be. Rudy. The thing about Rudy is, so I do the videos on the other channel, and I did a video called, is like Rudy Gobert the most unlikable player? Some clickbaity title. And there were so many, it had a lot of dislikes. And there were so many people that reached out and were commenting saying, dude, Rudy's awesome. We love Rudy. Saying I had yellow teeth or whatever it was, anything personal to attack me. And I was surprised. I was like, okay, I'm good to know. There are a lot of Rudy stands out there. I think it's just sort of like polarizing, right? I think it's just polarizing. You either really like him or you hate him. Obviously, the Kyle Anderson punch, I'm kind of glad he's out of there. That has to be awkward, right? You ever think they got past that? He punches him in the chest. Apparently, Kyle Anderson, you can see it right here. Kyle Anderson says something to the effect of, dude, you got to get rebounds. And Rudy Gobert says, oh, my back hurts. He's like, I don't care. You got to do something. And then he just punches him in the chest. Got to control your emotions. I think that's the biggest thing about being an adult, right? You can't just haul off and get violent. If you have an inclination to get violent, if that's where your mind goes, if that's what your impulse is, you got to figure that out. Otherwise, you're going to go to jail. That's how it is. Crying about making an all-star team. You can't cry. You can cry. You got to cry in private. That's how I feel. Otherwise, people are going to think it's a bit performative. I don't know if it was performative. I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying people are going to assume if you cry in public that you're doing it for everyone else. Cry in private. I cry all the time. I watched a movie recently. I cried a lot, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the cry, but you can't do it in public. I'm also not going to tell people, I watched this movie and it made me cry. Neat. Players don't like him because he wins DPOI, too. I think there are a lot of players that think other people deserve it. They also don't think he's very good at offense. So him making all-star games, making all NBA teams, sort of the opposite of the guy who is really good at offense and doesn't play defense and gets a lot of accolades, like a Luka Doncic or something. He's sort of the opposite. It's like all this guy does is play defense, stand in front of the rim, block shots, get rebounds. There's more to life. There's more to basketball than rebounds and blocks. I think people get frustrated with that. I also think he has a weird sense of humor, apparently, allegedly. I don't know if this is true, but I'm going to spread the rumor. He was trying to kiss Donovan Mitchell. It was like a gag that he did. And while he was trying to kiss Donovan Mitchell, he gave him COVID. Legend has it. Of course, he touched all the mics during the press conference, which, if COVID never happened, no one says anything about this. Let's say it was, what was the one before that? SARS. It was SARS. It was SARS going around, which never really amounted to anything in North America. And he touched all the mics. People would have been like, "Oh, silly Rudy." They would have thought it was funny. And apparently, he did it to say, "I'm not afraid of you. I'm gonna touch your germs, not I'm gonna leave all my germs." So I can't hold it against him. I know a lot of people still do. I don't know what Draymond's got against him, but he does not like that guy. I don't even know. It just it's funny because the fight was between Jaden McDaniels and Clay. Rudy goes in there to break it up, and Clay just chokes, or Draymond just chokes him. He's like, I've been waiting for this. Any sort of oh, Rudy is in the scuffle. He's involved in some way. I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to kick his ass. We'll get to him later. Luka. People don't. I don't think Luka just complains a lot. That's really it. I have all these notes here. I have all these, oh yeah, he's a efficient scorer. People celebrate him a lot. Doesn't really play defense. Doesn't switch. Flopping is a major part of his game. Remember the Luka special? Remember Devin Booker falling down, crying, getting up, saying that's the Luka special. Saying Luka falls down and flops all the time. That's how it's done. Of course, Luka got the last laugh on that because they beat the Phoenix Suns that one year in the semifinals, Western Conference semifinals, I think. So, yeah, he's good too. I think people get frustrated with that. But the real reason is he just complains so much. Even in, I think it was the FIBA World Cup last year. Remember? He was just he did a press conference and he was just complaining about the refs the whole time. And that was also the reason why Slovenia didn't beat Lithuania, I think. I think that was who they played, but he just got so wrapped up in like complaining, and he's always leading the league in technical fouls. He's such a great player. And then off the court, later or before the game, when he's cooled off before a game, he's ready to play, he's all smiles, seems like a really cool guy. But in the moment, he cannot keep his emotions under control. And it's become a huge problem for that team, right? Because he's such an incredible player, such an incredible talent. He has the potential to get the most first-team All-NBAs of all time, or have the longest streak of being first-team All-NBA. This is a once-in-a-lifetime player, but he can't control his emotions, and it's not good for the team. And it's also kind of like selfish in a way, especially if you're only complaining about your own calls. It's just a little bit self-involved, all right? It's like a lack of perspective. It's also self-involved from the fact that when you're getting texts, the other team's getting a free throw, they're getting the ball back. It's not good. It's hurting your team because you have this ego as if you can do nothing wrong. So, pray for Luka. Pat Bev. I hope I've been saying positive things about these guys somehow. I forgot to do that. I like Pat Bev's game. He's one of my favorite games in the league. I think he is the most confident, and I think he's the most confident game in the league. And he seems like he knows what he's doing. I think he's a natural basketball player. I think he's one of the, and he's not tall, right? He's had to work very hard. I think he was in a documentary. I think he was in Hoop Dreams, that documentary from a while back. I never saw it, but the dude wants to play. I mean, he worked really hard. He was overseas, had to buy his way out of his contract to get back to the NBA. Really an incredible story, and he plays really hard. And I think part of the reason why he's annoying, he knows how to get under guys' skin, and that is part of his game. So would we talk about him? Would we know him if he wasn't so annoying? I don't think we would. I think it's all part of it. One thing I have to say, though, is he does gas up. He gasses up other players on his podcast, and I find it so funny because he's such a, he's a shit talker. But then when the guy, D'Angelo Russell's on his contract, he's like, man, people don't really appreciate your game like that, man. People don't really see what you can do. They don't, you're such an incredible player, but people don't really see it. And of course, D'Lo's like, yeah, man, I've been saying that. I've been saying how good I am, but nobody understands. I've been saying that people's perception of me is wrong, and I'm actually really good. When people think I'm a ISO scorer that can't score, you understand, Pat. You understand my talent. And I think Pat Bev does it so he can get guests. If you look at his show, it clearly gets more views when he has a big guest on. Did the same thing with Draymond. Back when Draymond got his new contract, I think it was like $20 million a year, however many years it was. He was like, man, you taking a pay cut, bruh? And Draymond, thank you. Man, I am taking a pay. People don't appreciate that. I'm like, dude, would you say that? Maybe he would. Maybe these guys are cool, but it is funny. He just gasses them up, and those dudes will eat the BS that Pat Bev gives. And I respect it. Also, him calling Chris Paul a cone on ESPN. Got him a Barstool podcast. That's why, he's like, oh, this guy's, Barstool knows what they're doing. They're like, this guy's divisive. He's going to say stuff. He's going to be Stephen A., right? He can be our Stephen A. And, I think that show's pretty successful. He is obnoxious, though. Remember when he told that reporter? I forget her name, but he's like, you didn't subscribe to the pod. Well, you can't. And it was after a loss. Bad look. He's suspended. I don't know if he's going to get picked up for another contract. He's a free agent right now. No one's picked him up. I got to be honest. They should. Because also, he's a good teammate. He rides with his dogs. Remember when J.J. Redick was criticizing Doc openly? He defended Doc and basically unfairly criticized JJ. That's what you do. You sort of frame an insult in a way that makes it look like you know what you're talking about. Because he was saying, oh, Doc saved your career. He gave you a starting job. Of course, JJ Redick's like, no, that's not really true. But you kind of look like a bitch if you're defending yourself. Hey, I'm just saying Pat Bev knows what he's doing. And I respect it, and I hope he is in the league to serve those 2-game suspensions next season, because I like Pat Bev. I like it. Like I said, I like his game. I like his personality too. Trey Young, another player I really like. I think he's underrated. I think he's, dare I say, I think he's as good as Jalen Brunson. I think he's as good as John Morant. He's inefficient though, and that's the problem. He just like chucks. He likes to chuck. He likes to shoot. But he's like led the league in assists, I believe, in total assists. And he plays. I know he had surgery last year. He plays a lot. I do like his game. He's great. He can get to the basket and dish out. He's awesome. He's an awesome player. And yeah, sure, he doesn't play defense. He's getting better at it. He was doing that thing where he'd shoot threes and he'd hang out, watch. And then, meanwhile, the guy that was guarding him is hustling down the court. Shot misses. That guy's wide open. He's one of these players that they just didn't learn defense. They're incredible offenders, but like, they just never learned it. They were like, that's not what I do. Because I think in college and in high school, you can be that scorer and people are like, he's our best player. And you're not really considering defense. Because the thing is, when the higher the skill level goes, the higher the offensive level goes. You don't need to be as good at defense when you're younger. Because the thing is, it's hard to put the ball in the hoop. Most of the time, the size of the rim is doing a lot of the defense for you. So it was just something that Trey Young never learned. And I think that's the problem. He also likes to taunt. And he's been through a lot of coaches. I stole this from AM Hoops because I was doing research for this video. I stumbled upon an AM Hoops video. So I have to give Casey Kiernan a shout out. And he showed a clip of Lloyd Pierce when he didn't make the U.S. national team in 2020. Lloyd Pierce was like, I guess the quote was like, "Oh yeah, were they like, should Trey have made the team? This is his player. He's the coach." And he's like, "No, I respect the decision. You know, I respect the NBA or whatever, the U.S. national team. I respect their decision. Like, nah, you should be like, hey, it's my starting point guard. Yeah, you should have had him on the team. You know, he was All-Star, All-NBA, whatever he was." I don't know why he wasn't at least given the opportunity. That's what you say. You support your guy. You don't say like, I support the U.S. national team's decision. They know what they're doing over there. Right? Well, unless you just don't like Trey. So, we also didn't get a lot of all-star votes from the players and the coaches. Something's up, man. He's tough to work with. I don't know why. I don't know what would lead anyone to feel that way, but players and coaches don't like the guy. They just don't. Markieff, this is a personal one. Okay, who pushed him? Markieff Morris pushing Jokic. Granted, Jokic pushing him from behind and he hurt his spine or something. Jokic shouldn't have done that. Jokic is probably my favorite player now, but I have to say Jokic was more in the wrong than Markieff Morris. Markieff Morris shoved him like that, and then Jokic retaliated. Which, hey. And then Marcus Morris called him a big fat boy. And I thought it was interesting because Marcus Morris and Markieff Morris ended up on the opposite side of Jokic in this, when most of the entire league loves Nikola Jokic. I don't think anyone really has a bad thing to say about the guy, except for these two. But I really don't like them. It seems like they're always breaking out in a fight in every game, and they always like to get in guys' faces and do that. And I'm like, dude, just swing. Just swing. Do it. Because it's just, or make out, just kiss him. But this, man, you think, yeah. Dude, just grope each other. So do something. Don't tease us. But he started to fight with Anunoby. Dude, he threw down Davis Bertans instead of boxing him out. Just threw him down like that. He does it all the time. So it's frustrating when I'm watching these games and it's we have to stop the game. We have to stop the game and wait for a Morris brother to, get ejected. I'm not into it. And then what's this guy? What's his name? Justin Anderson, I think. Where he bashes the ball on his head. He did it twice in this game. He does it twice. Okay, I have to say something nice about Markieff Morris. I just felt the negativity in my solar plexus and dark cloud. They're in the league. I believe one of them's on the Cavs now. One of them's a free agent. Maybe he'll sign a deal. I think they're 34, 35, and they're still in the league. They must be providing some value. All right? So, good for them. Good for them. That's impressive. A lot of the guys from the draft class are gone. So, they're finding a way to provide value. So, they're not my favorite players. This is a personal one. So, thank you for letting me do that. I'm not a Draymond guy either, okay? Stomping on Sabonis and then just flailing his arm, hitting Yusuf Nurkic. I don't even think that was a retaliation, okay? He did apologize. He also did apologize for the Jordan Poole thing. I watched Pablo Torre's Find Out, whatever that show is, Finds Out. Pablo Torre Finds Out. Great show. You haven't watched that show? If you like this show, you'd like that show. It's a better version of this show. Dude, apparently what Poole said was, you're an expensive backpack for 30. 30 being Steph Curry, which is it's good. It's not bad. But I think it was an accumulation with other things. Draymond's like, punch this guy in the face. Also, watch the kick. I should have put it on here. Watch the kick. Watch when he punches. He like swings back. He like kicks his leg. It's kind of funny. It's kind of pussy. Check it out. But yeah, he also brags about, they won't eject me from games. He just has this sort of, attitude about him, which is it earned, 4 championships. The guy has skill. Everyone calls him a basketball genius. Everyone, every player. They know more about basketball than you or I do. Draymond Green is good, and he provides a lot of value to the Golden State Warriors. They're keeping him around. I thought they might trade him. Actually, what's funny? Draymond Green didn't think he was going to get another contract. He thought his last year, he thought last year was his last year. After the punch, I believe. I'm confused, but I know that he thought he was not going to get another contract with the Warriors, which does showcase that he does have a little bit of humility. And why he doesn't like Rudy Gobert, I don't know. Why he'll find any reason to take a shot at Rudy Gobert when he has all this basketball knowledge in his head that he could share on TNT. He'll be like, yeah, that's great, Chuck. That's good, Shaq. But I know Rudy Gobert's not in this game, but I would like to criticize him. I don't know if he actually did that. I think he was doing, it was a game with Minnesota, so maybe it was fair, maybe it was not. Also, Daniel Gafford was on the show after the Mavs had won. I believe it must have been that game against Minnesota. But Draymond gives him tips, like very low-level tips. Low-level meaning like very detailed tips in certain game situations. And dude, Gafford was cool about it. Gafford was like, thanks, man. That's actually really helpful. And I respect that from Gafford because I have the ego and the insecurity to be like, well, hey, if I took tips from you, maybe I wouldn't have even made the playoffs. I would have been that dickhead. So good for Daniel Gafford. I don't know. Pray for Draymond. Man, I'm getting negative. Well, here's a guy, Dillon Brooks, who actually, I like him. He hit LeBron James in the balls. This was back when, I forget what team, where did he play? I don't remember. Canadian dude. I don't know. I like the Canadian guys. I'm kind of rooting for Canada in the Olympics just because I think the states are too jacked. Stacked. Way too stacked. So, and I think it's better for basketball if a different team wins other than the United States. Do you feel me? And I don't, in the World Cup, I'm there. I got my jersey on. I got my Uncle Sam hat. I'm all about it. I'm proud to be American. But when it comes to basketball in the Olympics, I'm like, probably better for basketball if Spain, Serbia wins. I feel, was that treason? But yeah, Dillon Brooks leg locks players. He flails his arms and hits people in the face. That's very common amongst all these guys. It's sort of like, this guy beat me, smack, hit him in the face. Can't make a basket if I scratched your retina. Pretty common move. He teabagged LeBron, tried to do it in a sneaky way. Remember his quote, I poke bears. Even when he's getting cooked, he's still talking mess, which I like. I like his outfits too. I like that he just leans into it. He's like, yeah, I'm going to get cooked. I'm going to get beat, but I'm just going to lean into this idea of myself. I'm going to be like wildly arrogant and talk a lot of crap and wear these cool outfits. And even if I'm getting beat, I'm still just going to be this character and be consistent. And I do like that. I actually really do like that from him. Dude, he clobbered, remember GP2 when he just clobbered GP2? I think that broke his wrist too. Same situation as Caruso, Grayson Allen. Man, it was pretty brutal. That was a flagrant, 2? Yeah, that was a flagrant 2. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. Is the camera focused? But I do like him. I don't know why the Grizzlies publicly stated, we are not bringing back Dillon Brooks. Something happened with him. But he was a vibe, dude. He would, he led the dance circles and stuff. Looks like he's still doing it for the Rockets. I think that's very important. I like that he got that big deal. Because, JJ Redick brought this up, but he's like, yeah, y'all were making jokes about him playing in China next year. That guy just signed like a, $25 million contract, like 25 a year. I think it was like 4 years, 25 million every year. So I like that JJ Redick was like, yeah, you can laugh, but he's laughing all the way to the bank. He's on a team, he's getting paid well, and he had a great season. He's a good defender. I believe he's been on an all-defensive team. You need Dillon Brooks in the league. Granted, I don't like the dirty plays. I don't like, GP2 breaking his wrist, obviously not, but you do need a guy with attitude like that. It's good for the league. You need a heel. You need someone. So how about that? Positivity. Dillon Brooks, I'm here for it. I like that he's playing for Canada. I like that he played for Canada in FIBA. I like that he took his shirt off, spun it around. I think he did that. I have a weird, maybe it's a false memory of him taking his shirt off, spinning around after Canada beat the U.S. I didn't like that, by the way. I didn't like that at all. So that's it. But hope you have a good day. I hope it's not too, I don't want to start your day on like a negative note. The hate's in the title. But it's done. I'm uploading the video. Thanks for being here. Because you're mothers.